Hi, I'm Brenda Hines and I'm the Director of Professional Development. Welcome back to our Ninja Skills Training Series. In this module, we're going to explore steps 6, 7, and 8 of the Ninja Selling Buyer Consultation. Step 6 is a scale of 1 to 10, and it's important that we start this by saying just for fun. We want to put our buyer in the comfortable position of telling us where they really are instead of telling us where they may expect that we want them to be. Let's listen to how some of our ninjas use this step.
Assessing commitment in real estate is very important. If you don't do this on the front end, you'll notice that you find yourself driving around hours and hours and hours showing buyers who may never end up purchasing a home. So from the very beginning, whether it be a seller or a buyer, having those conversations and digging in deep to determine their motivation is invaluable.
So if I asked you today, what is your commitment on the purchase process? How would you gauge that? Would you gauge that between a 1 and a 10 somewhere? Are you on the low side or the high side, somewhere in between?
I love it when they say, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, if 1 is, if you found the perfect house, or 10 is, I'm living with my in-laws, I'm going to be gone in 30 days, whether you find me something or not. And then everything in between. And then they start, you can see the wheels turning in their mind, and they start giving you clues as to the seriousness of it. Really, you're helping them find that number. Is that number 5? That's okay. It's good to know. Let's go look at a couple of houses so you can understand the market, but let's not see 15 houses.
Even if you're at a 1 level today, we want to make sure we get you to the 10 level. So we need to process this in a way that you're totally comfortable with the information that we put together for you. And that means making sure that we understand what your timeline is, what your motivation is. It's really about you, our client. We just need to find out what's comfortable for you.
Now, if our buyer tells us that they're a 4, we don't want to react visibly through body language or by using words that tell them that that's not a great place to be and we're not going to work with them right away. We want to instead dig deeper to ask them what it would take for them to move from a 4 to a 10. Many times you might find out that it's not something that's a barrier to home ownership at all. They may say that they only have a 10% down payment, but they know that they've got to save until they get a 20% down payment. Or they may say that their credit score of 712 isn't high enough for them to get a loan. We know both of those things are not barriers to them becoming homeowners in the very near future. So they're probably closer to a 9 or 10. After we've uncovered where our buyer is with this step, we want to move forward to find out what they're really looking for. This is so important even if you have one buyer, but it's especially important if you have more than one. We want to uncover what each buyer is expecting from their new home. Let's hear how some of our ninjas do that.
Most of the time, they say opposites attract. So now we're dealing with 2 people selling a house. And one of them power, one of them peace, one of them engineer, one of them goes to the country club several hours a week and just hangs out with friends. Or you're working with the young couple that's buying their first house, and he says, I want acreage so I can shoot a gun. And she says, I want to walk the kids in the neighborhood to the neighborhood pool. And you're going, oh, this is not made for TV. This is like real life. We got to do this. So I love with buyers to give them that blank piece of paper and give both of them each a blank piece of paper and say, don't look at the other paper. Tell me the 6 or 10 things that you want in a house. And then after they do that, circle the top 3. Now pull them back together. And I usually joke at this point, and I wad the husbands up, and I say, yours doesn't matter. Let's go with the other one. But we talk back through that, and it's amazing. Sometimes they have talked, and other times, I didn't know that was that important to you. Most of the time, we're going to find our way onto the same piece of paper. Maybe not that day, but over the course of the next few weeks.
We need to get to the bottom of it before we take them out shopping and hunting for that property. This way we get to know them a little bit better. We know what to expect from them, and they in turn get to know what to expect from us.
So as you look at their pieces of paper, you're going to find that in almost all situations, the buyers have written down their whats or their features, not their why. Buyers don't buy their what, they buy their why. So that's why we need to progress forward to step 8 so that we can uncover the benefits that they want from those features. That's really what's going to be able to allow us to solve their problems or provide them pleasure where they now have pain. If they've written down that they want to live on acreage, We may assume that it means that they want to have chickens or that they want to grow a garden. But in fact, it may just be that they want some privacy. And perhaps that can be afforded even in a city subdivision by having a lot that backs up to a green space or to a natural retaining area. So it's important for us to understand what each of our buyers wants, but it's important for us to understand why they want them. Let's listen to how some of our ninjas do that.
Probably will now be sharing how long I've been selling real estate, but it was probably 15 years ago where it finally got through my mind that we're not selling features. They're looking for the right neighborhood. They're looking for the convenience of access to the interstate. They're looking to be in the comfortable neighborhood for their kids to play, or the comfort of having the neighborhood pool and the convenience of not having to build one in their own backyard. They're looking for, they say 5 acres, but if you find them a half acre that backs up to, state-owned property, they've got privacy. So they really didn't want 5 acres. They wanted privacy. So when they say, here's what we're looking for, we want a house this big, we want it to be here, and we want it to have, I'm going to start asking questions that go, okay, what are the things that are going to drive the decision? And they're not how big the house is, how many beds, and how many baths it has. It is the benefits that those things provide, or the location provides, or the yard provides privacy, or whatever.
When you ask them what it is in a home that they would like to have, they can write those things down. But the whys are the benefits. What benefits them is the why. So a lot of times we find out that people don't necessarily buy their whats, but they buy their whys because it benefits their family that way. If we can discover what their whys are, we can accomplish what the whats are.
Early in the showing, sometimes in the buyer interview, but when I'm working with buyers, I want to give them permission early that we may not walk into a house and it be the one. It's happened. I can tell a story of a lady walking around in the backyard next to it was wetlands. She might have called it a lake. I just called it like swampy stuff. But she loved outdoors. She loved gardening. And she made the comment, she goes, if this house isn't torn up inside, we're going to buy it. And that was the house they bought. So that's one of maybe a handful of times in 20 years where somebody bought the perfect house in there.
It's a rare occasion to find the 100% perfect home. 85% perfect home is what most people are basically looking for. They may not understand that. So what we have to do is let them see that not all their whats and not all their whys may get addressed. But if we find one that meets 85% of their needs, that's probably a pretty good fit for them. So we need to consult with them on the front end, explain this to them, and ask them what would it take if we found the 85% home for them to be ready to make that offer.
I hope you've enjoyed this training module, and I look forward to seeing you next time when we will go on to discover step 9 of the Ninja Selling Buyer Consultation.